Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Good to see you here at also not Temple Beth Tikvah. Yes, I am looking forward to one day saying at Temple Beth Tikvah, and we will get there eventually. But in the meantime, the adventure continues. I think it was Tolkien who was famous for saying that all who wander are not lost, right? And he was very steeped in the Bible, by the way. He, was an expert in world mythologies and folklores and texts, so he knew about the wanderers, and the wandering is part of the Jewish story. So we're grateful to be here at Camp Norwood on a really beautiful evening, and we're grateful to see our friends who are on Zoom here this evening. I'm especially grateful for Stu and Jody, who are my co-shlichei tzibur, or service leaders, tonight. It's a very special pleasure to be able to collaborate with you, and of course we miss Cantor, but we'll see her again next week. And we'll begin by lighting the candles. So those of you who are at home, if you have your candles ready, we can light together. Those of us who are here together, we're on page 120 in your blue prayer books. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו
Since we are in the chuppah, to continue our metaphor, what could be a more appropriate place to enter the service of Kabbalat Shabbat, which is really a series of love songs, songs of connection and desire and appreciation between the people Israel and God as we celebrate this special day of Shabbat. And so we have a few songs that express that longing and love, beginning with Yedid Nefesh. I think we're going to be singing the shorter version of Yedid Nefesh, right? We don't have to turn all the way to page 636. We can turn to page 128 in our prayer book. Sing these words together. Heart's delight, source of mercy, draw us near into your arms. I leap like a deer to stand in awe before you. Yedid Nefesh.
Yedid nefesh ha-rachava, Yedid nefesh ha-rachava, Mishoradecha, Yetitzarecha, Mishoradecha,
thing that Judaism wants us to remember is that every time we sing a song, even if it's a song we've sung a million times before, we have to sing it as new. Shir Ladonai Shir Chadash. Sing to God a new song, says the psalm. So perhaps for some of you, this song might actually be a new song. And for some of us, it might be a very old song. But Shabbat is a time for renewal, a time for looking at old things in a new way, of looking at people we love with renewed eyes, of looking at our lives with a new sense of optimism. And so in our hearts, we sing this song as though for the first time. Shir Ladonai, Shir Chadash, page 131, 131. We can try that all together. Shiru Adonai, Kol haaretz. Shiru Adonai, Shir Chadash.
Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we will sing along. All the earth a new song unto God.
Shiru Adonai, Kol haaretz. Shiru Adonai, Shir Chadash.
I will sing unto God a new
song. Completing the metaphor of the chuppah above us and the marriage ceremony that is our Shabbat service is this crown jewel in the crown of the Kabbalat Shabbat service called the Chadot. This is the psalm in which we reach out to each other and say, let's go out. Mystics in medieval Israel literally went out into the forest. We don't actually have to do so much work right now to go out into the forest. We already are in the forest. So actually we get to just be where we are and feel something that is maybe different on a spiritual level, because Shabbat is on a different plane in our metaphysical reality. It gives us a different set of senses, expectations, norms. It gives us a chance to rest, take a little break from the busyness of everything, and maybe feel a little bit of a higher purpose in that. Feel a connection to something greater than us, a connection to God. So hopefully we'll begin to feel that as we sing this together. We'll sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. On the 9th verse, I'll invite everybody to rise. We can face the very dark exit as we imagine Shabbat entering into this space and symbolically into all of our homes and lives too. So we're on page 138 of the Chadot. Echadodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Echadodi likrat kala. Now this part's a little call and response. Ready? Adonai echad Shemo echad. Here's the call and response. Dodi likrat kala. B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Dodi likrat kala. B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechozei melcha. Yihi lekol bracha. Rosh mikveh Okay, here's the call and response. Dodi likrat kama, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kama, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 5, Hitoreni. Hitoreni, Ivareres miori, oriori, Itaberi, Yehodonai Allah Yechnikla. Everybody. Lecha B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Please rise. Dodi lecha dodi likrat kama, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kama, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Last Sunday in religious school, we had a conversation during our religious school tefillah about the Baruch Hu and how we bow in the Baruch Hu. We do certain things with our bodies at different points in the service. And one thing that I learned from our students that I hadn't thought about before is that there are two kind of different ways that we bow, at least two, but two important ways that we bow and show respect. And one is when we're in front of an audience, right? Like when you're at a Broadway show and the company takes a bow at the end. And the other is, of course, when we're in the presence of somebody, somebody great and maybe very important. We want to show respect to them. So, the image of bowing before a king or queen is one that really animates the rabbis and the one that they compare this sort of bowing to. And I think that both of them are true because it shows us that sometimes we need to feel very accomplished and like we're on a stage and we have a lot to be grateful for. And other times we need to feel very small, like we're approaching something that's very big and we're very small. And both of them are important human, spiritual, and emotional experiences. And they're both part of the bow that we bow in our prayers as we approach God. We feel the bigness of life, but also the smallness of us as individuals relative to life, relative to the universe. So that's what's in my body right now as we bend for the Baruch Hu. Please turn to page 146. and have a seat. We'll continue with our blessing for creation and the times changing from day to night. Page 148. We'll read together. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Baruch atah Adonai ma'ariv aravim. Page 33. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Together, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Page 152. Shema. Page 154. Adonai Elohim. We symbolically approach Mount Sinai as we are on this journey reconstructing the Exodus from Egypt. We read together on page 157 at the top of the page. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Page 158. Join hands and march together, or you can feel free to join hands with somebody sitting near you if you like it. And we'll march together symbolically. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up to life renewed. Spread over us a sukkah of your shalom, the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and for your name's sake be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us from all that would do us wrong. For you, O God, watch over and deliver us, for you are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace and a good night's sleep, which is when we traditionally say this prayer, for now and forevermore. Please join us in Ashki Veni, page 160. Baruch atah Adonai, haporis sukat shalom, aleinu be'al kol amo Yisrael, be'al Yerushalayim. To share with you a little kavanah or intention by somebody who's not Jewish, Annie Dillard, but I think she brings up an idea that is very Jewish. She says this: the silence is all there is. It is the Alpha and it is the Omega. Say it is the Aleph and it is the Taf. It is God's brooding over the face of the waters. It is the blended note of 10,000 things, the wine of wings. Take a step in the right direction to pray to this silence, even to address the prayer to the world. Distinctions blur. Quit your tents. Pray without ceasing. This is a moment in our service where we will have time to contemplate silence, to feel the expanse and the peace of this beautiful place where we are together. And so, as we begin the Amidah, we'll have a chance to pray the first three blessings together, and then say whatever it is that we need to say. Have our own moment of silent meditation or reflection, perhaps just enjoy the beautiful sounds of nature around us in this chuppah, or for those of us on Zoom, wherever you happen to be. I invite you all to please rise if it's comfortable. We're on page 164.
Adonai sechatatita ufiagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei avotenu v'imotenu. Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. El Hagadol, Hagibor, V'Hanorah, Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Mezocher Haseavot V'Imahot, U'Megillah Livnei Be'Herem, Ve'Machal Shemo Be'Ahavah. Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magin, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol ha'karav le'Hoshia. Mashiv haruach u'morid Hashem. Mechakel chaim b'chesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Tzomech noflim v'rofeh cholim, U'machir asurim, U'mekayem emunato l'shenei afar. Mi kamocha b'geburos, u'midomea, Melech memit u'mechayeh, u'matzliach Yeshua. Nehemana lechayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kedoshim b'chol yom yahalu b'chasera. Baruch atah Adonai, Ahel hakadosh.
On page 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Blessed are you, God, who sanctifies Shabbat. Please be seated. Page 174. Continue with a moment of silence.
Say shalom aleichem,
Page 180.
Oh, say shalom, shalom, oh, yeah, say shalom,
Take a moment now to honor those in our midst who are in need of healing and those in our midst who care for somebody who is in need of healing. Of course, in this very complicated time for our country, there are more people than ever who have this need, so our prayers count even more. We think of our temple members, April D'Amato, Norma Diamond, Henry Gettenberg, Sandra Hyman, Tom Louie, Josh Lipschitz, and Sabrina Maurer. And our loved ones, Connie Ambrosino, Stephen Verdi, Harriet Cohn Haggerty, Claire Fenton, Mickey Bart, Jay Fliss, Herman Meha, Sue Yaris, Mark Ostreicher, Sidney Scher, Bart Young, Soraya Casey, Mary Beth Malone, Sarah Beggs, Sarah Bryant, Ellen Dreyfus, Jennifer Murphy, Lillian Wasserman, Harold Asher, Seth Axelrod, Jordan Lustig, Betsy Carlson, Ben Peck, Mark Potter, Martha Potter, Gloria Jennings, Sabine Meyer, Gloria Newell, Lois Smith, Mary Beth Malone, Michael Bruce Ensign, Joan Sidney, Ira Weiss, Betsy Powers Brown, Shannon Charette, Maris McNeil, and Chuck Peugeot. There are others who you'd like to share their names publicly for our community, whether you're in person tonight or on Zoom, you're welcome to do so as I come down. Those of you who are on Zoom, feel free to add those names into the chat. I'll read them aloud. What are you doing tonight? Karen Lemon. Karen Lemon. And for our friends on Zoom, for all of them and for all among our people who are in need of healing, we join our voices in the Misha Berach, which is on page 371. 371.
strength who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishabara, Imotenu, with Refuah Shema, the renewal of body, renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
You can close your books for a few minutes, unless I bore you horribly, in which case you can open them again. I won't be offended. At Kol Nidre this year, I discussed the importance of remembering, including remembering the Shoah as it passes from a lived memory to an event in history. That goal is now starting to come into question. I think many of us saw in the news last week that an administrator in a Texas school district cautioned teachers as part of a training that if you have a book about the Holocaust, that you have one that has an opposing, a different perspective, other perspectives. When I read this, I had to rub my eyes and make sure that I was reading correctly. This is not an Orwellian dystopia, right? It's modern day America. Make sure you teach opposing views about the Holocaust. Well, the administrator in question declined to elaborate on exactly what those other views or opposing perspectives might be. She was, I think, attempting to follow a new Texas law that requires teachers to present multiple perspectives when discussing, quote, widely debated and currently controversial topics. Apparently, the Holocaust is widely debated and controversial. I wish I could say that I was surprised to learn about this. I was horrified, of course, but not surprised. That's because we're living through an era in which any difficult subject must be examined through, quote, opposing perspectives. Apparently, this includes the Nazis' murder of 6 million Jews. I can't even believe I'm saying this, but when it comes to the Holocaust, there are no opposing views. The Holocaust happened. There are those who tell the truth and those who deny the truth. Period. This is not a black and white and shades of gray issue. This is not a truth on both sides issue. To deny the Shoah is very simply to perpetuate an anti-Semitic lie. Just one in the pernicious historic litany of anti-Semitic lies, which include every accusation from the murder of Jesus to the medieval blood libel to modern-day QAnon conspiracy theories, which continue to fester, among other places, in the halls of the United States Congress. This should terrify us. I'm horrified that we are living through a time when it is fashionable to rewrite history. Make no mistake, this is not just about the Jews, but it is about the Jews, because when prominent voices want to rewrite history, the Jews lose. This has happened to us time and time again. It has happened to other oppressed people too. Turkey has long denied the Armenian genocide of 1915. Sudan has denied the genocide in Darfur. Myanmar has rejected the genocide of the Rohingya Muslim minority. And if you think that I'm using the word genocide polemically or exaggerating it, this is a designation of scholars at the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum in Washington, D.C. Now, amidst last year's domestic political violence that we're hearing about a lot in the news these days, a friend of mine suggested an idea to me. He said, if you see the Nazis standing next to you, you can be sure you're on the wrong side. Yet, here we have a public school district administrator suggesting that perhaps there are multiple sides to consider. there are just two sides, the Nazis and not the Nazis. In this toxic political moment, truth, such as it is, has become a political football. I think we all have realized that. You remember when Stephen Colbert was on the Daily Show? He had his own show, right? The Colbert Report? Right. And his word for this was truthiness. Remember that? Remember how that seemed like charming satire at the time? Wow, how far we have descended. Judaism doesn't want truth to become a political football. What Judaism does want is rigorous and principled disagreement. We're talking with our confirmation students these days about the concept of machloket l'shem shamayim, of a disagreement or a dispute for the sake of heaven. The idea is that there are some disagreements in Jewish tradition which there is so much truth on both sides and so much honorable intent in the hearts of the disputants that it is an argument worthy of God, and perhaps there is no solution to these problems. The tradition says that some of these disputes can only be resolved when the Messiah comes, when Elijah comes to resolve them. This is not one of those cases. This is a situation of moral grounding run amok. This is a situation, Judaism wants a situation where we look honestly at problems confronting us and opens the conversation on solutions. This is talking about multiple different ideas from different vantage points. But in the same time, Judaism believes that there is something called normative memory. That is, when we look at our history, honestly, not in a way that's open to dispute, but really just telling the truth of what happened, and we apply that truth to a values point of view. We look at it through a certain lens that says, what can we learn from this? What does it reflect about us? What should we have come to realize from this that we perhaps have not yet realized? And that is, admittedly, inherently not a neutral process. Yet, not neutral means that the facts are open to interpretation. It does not mean that the facts are open to dispute. Say that again. The facts are open to interpretation, not dispute. Any retelling of history is, I think we all know, inherently biased, because the historian must select which sources, voices, and perspectives to include and which not to include. But there is a troubling trend today of equating controversy with objectivity. Just because somebody disagrees with a fact, that does not change the truth that it is a fact. Laws like the Texas one can limit a teacher's ability to tell the truth. Our people has suffered fallout from this sort of thing many times in our past, and it concerns me gravely. Modern historiography understands that our interpretation of history shifts over time as we learn more, as the norms of society evolve, and that at any given time there are multiple lenses through which to view history. For example, a war may be viewed by at least 5 perspectives. 2 military populations, at least. 2 civilian populations, at least. And the perspective of the person portraying these views. But this issue in Texas is not a problem of the philosophy of historical reconstruction. It is a problem of politics putting the truth on trial. And it's not toxic because there are multiple ways to understand history. It's toxic because in the interest today of not inflaming extreme voices, of giving equal credence to extreme voices, which is itself problematic. Our society is spiraling down a rabbit hole of moral relativism. This latest incident with the Holocaust shows that we have gone so far down that rabbit hole. In some cases and in some places, we can't even see the ground under us. Now, this particular example, which I'm glad to say is not yet a widespread phenomenon. In this Texas school district, the higher-up of this administrator, I believe it was the superintendent, attempted to walk back that remark, which of course is the minimum necessary, and it still doesn't change the shock that we feel as Jews, nor the culture that led the administrator to make that remark in the first place. Fortunately, the historical truth of the Shoah is not up for debate in most of our society. But this incident shows how easily it might be if we are not vigilant. As Jews, it is incumbent upon us to maintain our commitment to intellectual honesty, to moral integrity. When we allow others to rewrite history, Jews lose, even when it's not our history. Even if it doesn't start with us, it may likely end with us. Those of us who are students of history know this, and we are, I hope, all of us alert. Shabbat Shalom.
Let's do the announcements now.
I'm switching hats. Shabbat Shalom again, everyone. My name is Jody Ambrosino, and I am currently serving on the board of directors as the director of youth activities. A warm welcome to any guests with us here this evening or online. Tomorrow, join us for Torah study at 9 a.m., led by Rabbi Moss. Links are in your inbox. Women of TBT, remember that Kol Hami is having Israeli dancing led by Jennifer Silva outdoors at TBT this Sunday at 10:15 a.m. Next Friday, October 29th at 6 p.m., we are celebrating our first Young Family Shabbat this year. Young Family Shabbat, appropriate for ages 0 through 5, will be in person right here at Camp Laurelwood in Madison. Everyone is welcome to attend. Regular Shabbat services will follow at 6:30. Note that we will be in the rec hall next week and moving forward.
I think it's down this way, actually. Yeah. Down the hill.
Don't pay attention to me.
Down the hill.
As always, our regular Shabbat service will also be available on Zoom. Please be sure and check your inbox to see how you can help our Afghan family refugee resettlement. There are many ways to help as we assist a family looking to settle into their apartment. Your generosity in giving tzedakah to this cause or volunteering in one of many other potential areas of need are much appreciated. You can speak with Tina Slittinger or John Katz for more information. Again, Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you for wearing the multiple hats. And thank you again to Stu and Jody for the beautiful music this evening, and to Susie for being here and helping with Zoom and the technology, and to Camp Laurelwood for hosting us for the next few months at least, as this becomes our new temporary home. We're excited to see you all at camp. It's great here. And by the way, we are going to be in a heated room for the next several months, so don't worry, we're not going to put you outside through the winter. We're going to have a heated space. We'll continue now with Aleinu L'Shabeach, page 586 in your prayer book. Please rise.
שלא שמחתנו פהם, ואור עלינו וחומנו. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 591. You can all have a seat. Share this poem with you as we enter into a moment of memory. Can't untie a boat unmoored. Fur-shod shadows can't be heard, nor terror in this life mastered. Love, what's left for us is this: living remnant, loving revenant, brief kiss. Tonight, our congregation honors the memories of those who have passed away in recent days and at the season in years gone by. The period of Shloshim, you remember Gary Widlitz, husband of Pat. And in the period of Yartzeit, you remember Cecil Agranoff, Enid Kaplan, Gertrude Cooperberg, Selma Fishkin, Morris Goldberg, Lillian Gordon, Ruben Ruby Katenek, Esther Stiglitz, Etta B. Flaum, Margaret Russman, Trudy Frankel, Mary Crumbine, Harvey Perlish, Regina Rosenfeld, Len Feingold, Ruth Greenberg, Shirley Sukani. There are others who we should recognize at this time, in this moment of sacred memory. Feel free to share their names if you wish. Anybody on Zoom wish to share a name? Okay. I'd invite us to rise as one community as we honor our mourners and remember those we have loved and lost. Page 598. 598. Gadal v'yid kadash shemei rabba. Ve'alma di v'rach l'reutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'v'izman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehi shemei rabba mevorach le'alam u'le'omei amaya. Yit marach v'yishtabach v'yit pa'ar v'yit romam v'yit naseh. V'yit hadar v'yit aleh v'yit halal shemei v'kudasha richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Ushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehi shalama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromah. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru amen. May the one who brings peace into our world also bring comfort into our hearts and comfort all the bereaved. Together we say, Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromah. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Have a seat, everybody. Shabbat shalom. It's so good to be together. Thanks for bundling up and coming to be with us at camp. Thanks for joining us on Zoom. It's really lovely and Hamish to be together in this Jewish space in Madison, so we hope that we'll see you here in person next time. And we can make some kiddush together. So. I've never seen a more exciting Family affair. Oh, family affair. Wow, that's special. Okay. All right, let's make some kiddush together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari harafim. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishel mitzvotav v'tzavanu,
Shabbat kosher, Yavad Ratzon Yitchilanu, Zikaron Lemaseh Bereshit, Kilu Yom Tehillah, Lemikra'e Kodesh, Zecher Tziyah, Mitzrayim. Ivanu Avata, Yotanu Kidashta, Mikol Ha'amim, V'Shabbat Kodesh-cha, V'Yavaru Ratzon, Yinvaltanu. Baruch Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Le'chayim.
There's always at least one thing that doesn't go right. That's okay. It's called the human condition. Would you like to help me with this collar? No, you don't want to. Let's make moti together. Ready? Can we hold it up in front of Zoom so everybody sees? Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Amotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. Take a big chunk, won't you?
We can also put it. Just put it back out. We'll have a tray for that eventually. Because that also broke tonight. Okay, but some things aren't broken, like our Jewish spirit, our will to be together, right? So, right. The things that are broken don't matter. The things that are whole are the most precious. And we celebrate that sense of joy with a closing song about Shabbat, which says, this day of Shabbat, how beautiful it is. Ma'yafeh Hayom Shabbat Shalom, Sabbath of peace, which we wish to all of you. So we can join together on page 128 to sing this beautiful melody.
Shabbat Shalom, Ma'yafeh Hayom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Hayom, Shabbat Hayom, Ma'yafeh Hayom. Shabbat Shalom.
It's a beautiful song. I want to say thanks again to Stu and Jody, and also to Ellie for doing things that made you a little embarrassed. You get bonus points for that. And Shabbat Shalom to all of our friends. We look forward to saying hello, and we'll come say hello to all of you on Zoom. Look forward to seeing you, tomorrow and Sunday and in the week to come. Have a great weekend, everybody. Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, a baby Jay?